Well, hey, everybody. Happy Thursday. Hope you are doing fine and great wherever you are in the world. Whew, it's been a week, right? It's been crazy. But hey, wouldn't have it any other way, right? We got to have a fun life and all those experiences. That's what we do. All right. We're already up to episode 54 of Mike in the Midwest. Let's talk about getting ready for Walt Disney World and feedback from last week. Hello to everybody watching live. All right, here we go. Well, hey, everybody. Happy Thursday, and welcome to episode number 54 of Mike in the Midwest. It's a mini podcast for the amazing patrons of the Be Our Guest podcast. How are you doing? Hopefully, you're doing great. And I'm so glad to be here to talk with you for about the next 30 minutes about just some fun topics that we may enjoy, outside of the Be Our Guest podcast. But today it'll be kind of related to what we would talk about on the show, but a little behind the scenes stuff for you guys today. So we'll talk about that. But I hope you're doing well. What's been going on here in my world? Well, yesterday, I was treated to a Cardinals game, my first one since 2019 being in person, because obviously last year we couldn't get down to the ball yard because of COVID. But for Father's Day, my girls got us tickets to go to a Cardinals game. And so they didn't buy the actual tickets, but that night on Father's Day evening, we sat down, we looked at the schedule, and we tried to figure out a game that looked kind of interesting on the schedule. And also with my work schedule as a travel agent, night games are kind of rough on me just because I have some self-imposed rules that I have for my guests at the Magic for Less. And one of those things is I always check my emails usually around 8 o'clock at night and try to, schedule for between 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock in the evening to work, because I work the typical work hours during the day until about 5 o'clock. Then I take a break for dinner. And then I jump back on usually around 8 o'clock, just in case anything has popped up, something's bubbled up where a guest has an issue or anything like that. I like to go to bed knowing that everybody's taken care of for that night. It's 10 o'clock on the East Coast. It's 9 o'clock here. And for the most part, that day has gone by. So night games are kind of rough because of the fact that, if you go to a night game in the major leagues, you usually leaving the house around 5:30 in the evening, and you don't get home until about 11 o'clock. And so at that point, it's too late to check your emails. You got them all stacked up from the evening time. And so that just kind of makes me a little nervous because I like to be on top of things. So afternoon games work really well for us. And there was a Wednesday afternoon game against the Arizona Diamondbacks. And not to say that I wanted to see a winner, but the Diamondbacks are having a rougher season than the Cardinals, and that's kind of hard to believe. But we picked the tickets for that game, worked out well. But of course, the day before. So, we decided a couple weeks ago on Father's Day to go to this game. I thought, well, a Wednesday is not super busy in the travel agent stuff. It will be kind of busy, but I'll catch up as soon as I get home around 4 o'clock. I'll spend that evening catching up with everything that everybody needs. Well, of course, what happens? The day before, so Tuesday, Run Disney comes out with that video of people running through puddles, saying they're going to come out with a wonderful announcement tomorrow, which was Wednesday. So I'm like, are you kidding me? The one day I thought I'd have a little 3 or 4 hour buffer in the afternoon to go catch a baseball game is now going to become crazy. So it was exciting news as a runner. I will say that I'm excited that in-person racing is coming back. I was shocked that it's going to start with Wine and Dine Half Marathon Weekend. I'm excited for that. I said that was impressive, most impressive by Run Disney, and it really is. It can be done, though, because I'm running the Chicago Marathon, 33,000 runners in October, but I just didn't know the fire they had in their belly for a Run Disney race weekend, but apparently they do, and I'm glad for that. So registration, of course, is going to be on the 13th of July. I will be down at Walt Disney World, which kind of freaks me out because I'm actually going to try to register for this one. I've kind of given up on Wine and Dine race weekend for the past few years because I do marathon weekend, but it's the first race back. So why not? I'm going to try to register. If I get in, great. If I don't, which I'm counting on probably not getting in, but we'll see. Then, I'll focus on marathon weekend and hopefully get in to run another dopey. But that should be exciting. We also found out about Princess Half Marathon Weekend and then the surprise weekend in the spring surprise. It said it'll, be an interesting distance and an interesting theme. I like this. As a runner, I've done all the races at this point, so give me something new. Give me a 10 miler. That was something that was super popular back in the day over at the studios, the Tower of Terror 10 miler. There's been, I think, like a 15K before or 13K. So, whatever. Let's do something different. Let's go different places. Let's run different distances. Let's have some interesting themes. So, I'm really excited for the spring. And I think a lot of the runners that have been in the Run Disney universe here for the past, decade or so are going to be excited for something special. So exciting news. And we made it. Thanks to all my guests over at the Magic for Less. I know a lot of you guys are patrons. Thanks for your patience for me not getting back to you until early evening. But I did really get to enjoy time with Pam and Mallory at the ball game. And we actually won. We swept the Diamondbacks. That's good. And now we're headed out to Colorado. We'll see how that goes. Nolan Arenado goes back to his hometown. We'll see what's going on with that. But other than that, today's topic is going to be kind of what's been happening around here. But before we do that, we always lead off with listener feedback from our amazing patrons. Again, last show was about St. Louis isms. What is it about living in St. Louis? And this was all sparked by last week. The United States gymnastics trials were held in St. Louis at our dome where the St. Louis Rams used to play. And it was apparently what happened. It was the biggest crowd ever for an Olympic qualifying trials in any sport ever. So that's kind of, pat on our back for St. Louisans. We don't get a lot of, we're not a big town, but we like it. When we get a mark like that, we get pretty proud of that. It was all over the news. But the thing that got this show really kind of going was that Simone Biles tweeted a picture of her eating Emo's pizza during the event. Actually, it was before the event started when she got into St. Louis a couple days early. And we're known for Emo's pizza. It's a pizza that has Provel cheese instead of mozzarella cheese. And that's kind of how all of our St. Louis style pizzas are here. And the funny thing is after the show came out and she got back to Houston after the trials, she got back home. She tweeted a picture the other day. She said, back in Houston, craving Emo's pizza. So you want to give St. Louis a pat on the back? Yeah, Simone, thank you. We appreciate you. So that was very cool. So we talked about that last week. St. Louisisms. My good buddy Brock Sema reminded me. He said, Mike, how do you talk frozen custard and not mention Ted Drews? Ted Drews is exactly the frozen custard that St. Louis is known for. This guy, he's an older guy, gets on the TV, does these homey commercials with his grandkids and his kids, and they all work in the ice cream stands and actually frozen custard stands. And he says, it really is good, guys and gals. That's kind of his tagline. But it is like everybody in St. Louis proper gets Ted Drews. And what it is, I've only had Ted Drews twice in my life because Ted Drews is based like in the city of St. Louis and kind of what we call South City. So if you grew up in the southern, in St. Louis City proper into the South, you were probably all over Ted Drews. I grew up in what was called North St. Louis County, and we didn't get down that way very often. So I've had it twice. I've gone out of my way just to try it, and it was good. But, Fritz's and all those places I mentioned last week are kind of where we get our custard if you're from where I grew up. All right, feedback from last week. Carrie Good, thanks for being a patron. I appreciate that so much. Says, I worked in St. Louis a bit many years ago and loved the T-Ravs, the toasted ravioli. Oh my gosh, I might have to get some tonight for dinner. Kurt Long, my good buddy down in Alabama, says, great show as usual, Mike. Loved all the Bama talk. Here in Birmingham and the surrounding areas, we all ask, where did you go to high school? When it comes to sports, you're either Roll Tide or War Eagle. You can't have any pro teams because nobody would support it. All the focus is on college football. Thanks, Kurt. I appreciate that so very much. I will say, I got thrown into this situation and had no idea what I was walking into because, again, I grew up in St. Louis where it was all about the pro sports, basically about the Cardinals, the baseball Cardinals. But when I was a kid, it was a big deal to root on our football Cardinals. St. Louis had two Cardinals. We had the NFL Cardinals, which had Jim Hart, Neil Lomax, Stump Mitchell, Roy Green. I mean, we had some Darren Deerdorf. We had some great players. Never won the big game, but we had some good players. But it was all about pro sports in St. Louis growing up. And then in 2001, I went down to Space Camp in Huntsville and attended for a week as a teacher, went through the program for professional development as a teacher. But then I returned in 2002 and 2003 as an instructor in that same program. And I lived there for the whole summer. I got to Huntsville in about May, the end of May. And I came back home to St. Louis like the second or third week of August. And the funny thing is that, Alabama, like Kurt said, doesn't really have pro sports. in everything was pro sports back in my town. We had the Mizzou Tigers, but they're 2 hours down the road in Columbia, and I love them as a kid. But living in St. Louis, you didn't have a lot of huge Mizzou fans. Like you had a few, especially alumni, but you didn't have a lot of college football fans. Now it's different now because we don't have a pro team. But yeah, so I go down there, and the thing was, one of the first things somebody asked me, we had like a welcoming reception for all the teachers that were going to teach in the program that first year. It was a pool party at our boss's parents' house. They had a big in-ground pool. And immediately somebody comes up to me and goes, "You Roll Tide or you War Eagle?" I'm like, "Oh, shoot. I don't know." Because I mean, I liked Alabama because my grandpa was a big Alabama fan. He was a big Bear Bryant fan. And I knew that I liked Alabama, but I'll be honest, I didn't even know at this point. Remember, we were in the Big 12. We weren't even in the SEC back then. So I didn't know much about Auburn, but I knew that my boss was an Auburn alum because I saw the Auburn sticker on her car, the AU. So I was like, oh, dude, this could make or break me. So I did say Roll Tide. I took a chance, and that's my team. I do love the Alabama Crimson Tide, and I do love Nick Saban and everything he's done down there. But yeah, it's no joke. Like I immediately had to tell people where I was. I'm like, I'm from St. Louis, man. I'm not from Alabama, but I've since adopted Huntsville, Alabama as my second hometown. I loved it that much. I love the state of Alabama. The best people in the world are down there. So anyway, that's the deal. So yes, Kurt, you were exactly right. Alabama or Roll Tide or War Eagle. And after being in the SEC now, I'm not an Auburn fan. Trust me, they've done us dirty. Michael Corbett has some feedback. He says Culver's is big in Utah. We frequently get the 4 pints for $10. I've also seen Freddy's, but have never been in. 4 pints of frozen custard for $10. I have to check that out. So Freddy's is like, I don't know if you have Steak and Shake, but that's basically like a Steak and Shake, but they don't serve it at your table. It's got like the steak burgers, corn dogs, hot dogs, like chili dogs, but they also have frozen custard. Actually, I had chili last night from Freddy's for dinner. Thanks, Michael, for being a patron. And he says, by the way, I think you forgot about the Braves. Maybe I did. I can't remember what I was talking about last week as far as the Braves. Okay, Francesca Spathis, thank you so much for being a patron. She says, great episode. I loved hearing about the local traditions and lifestyle. I had to Google the sliced bagel just to see it for myself. My head almost exploded. LOL. I'm not kidding. It's like a loaf of bread, but it's a bagel. It's great for snacking. I'm telling you, try it. I know it's weird. I guess it's weird. I didn't know it was weird, but everybody tells me it's weird. She says, however, if I'm ever in St. Louis, I would try it. Growing up on Long Island, New York, eating at diners was the big thing. There was one in every town. You'd always run into people you knew, sometimes after going out since they were open 24 hours. Carvel is our big, I guess I'm saying that. I hope I'm saying that right. Carvel's our big ice cream chain. They have hard ice cream, but they're best known for soft serve and their cakes, which were served at many summer birthday parties, Father's Days, etc. I don't know if this is unique to Long Island, but we also have Dairy Barn, which is a drive-through convenience store. So great when you can just pull up and pick up milk and other essentials, and they're usually open late. God, that was a great idea. Because I have to go down to a place called Quick Trip. Like if we're out of milk, we have a gas station that's like a really fancy 7-Eleven back in the day. It's called QT or Quick Trip. And so you run in there and they have milk and stuff. They have great fountain sodas and stuff like that. But yeah, Dairy Barn. We need a Dairy Barn. I can drive through and get my stuff. That's nice. She also continues, Long Islanders worship Billy Joel and know every word to his songs. He's a local legend. Adventureland is our big amusement park, and the Hamptons is a young single crowd. In the Hamptons is the young single crowd would rent a summer share house. So many good memories. I've never been to Long Island, but hey, I love Billy Joel, and this sounds amazing. So yeah, I got to get up that way sometime. I've never been up to the Northeast. Thanks so much, Francesca. That is awesome. Megan Green commented on that. She says, my husband's from Long Island, and the first time I visited his family there, I saw Dairy Barn, and I was like, what in the world is that? And he was surprised. I'd never seen one before. Megan, I can go one better. I've never heard of Dairy Barn in my life, ever mentioned in TV or anything. So, yeah, there's that. I learned today. That's why I love this show. Thanks for the feedback. That is the greatest idea ever, and I didn't even know it existed. Okay, Megan Green says, I live in Virginia now, but I'm originally from Maryland. And one thing that Maryland is known for and serious about is their seafood. Maryland's a small state, but it's almost every kind of geography you could ever think of, except for a desert. So we have everything from freshwater rivers to the Chesapeake Bay to the Atlantic Ocean. So there's a serious variety of seafood in such a small place. But most important of all is the Maryland blue crab. Every family in Maryland has their own preferred recipe for blue crabs, but they're always steamed, and it always involves either Old Bay or JO's crab seasoning. Otherwise, you're doing it wrong. And there's a whole ritual to enjoying blue crabs, from standing around the cook pot to setting the table to the side dishes. Let's see, setting the table to the side dishes you serve to the other you pick the crabs in. I learned to pick crabs when I was about 7 years old because my dad got tired of having to pick them for me. And I taught my sons for the exact same reason. Great episode this week. This was a lot of fun. Now I need a crab feast. I'll be honest, I've only had crab like twice in my life, and it's on cruises. Crabs, for somebody from Missouri, I mean, you can go get them, right? You can go to Red Lobster, and we have seafood restaurants here, but we're definitely landlocked in Missouri. And there's so many people here in Missouri that just will not eat seafood. It's crazy. I mean, like, I'm the only one in my family. My dad won't eat seafood. My mom won't eat seafood. My sister doesn't eat seafood. Yeah, it's very common for people to never eat seafood in their life in Missouri. My grandparents didn't. I like it. I just like trying things. But man, I've only had crabs a couple times. God, crabs are a lot of work for hardly any meat, aren't they? I mean, maybe it's the crab little. What do you get at the casino? They have unlimited crab somethings. I don't know. They're a lot of work. Thanks, Megan. Trisha has some feedback. She says, I lived in Wisconsin my whole life. Culver's is overrated. We prefer the smaller companies that make either custard or ice cream, although we always call it ice cream regardless. Other things we're known for: beer, past the Miller. Hey, nope, we're Budweiser town here in St. Louis. Brats, had a great brat yesterday at the Cardinals game. And cheese, fried cheese curds, cheese heads, etc. Our state fair is a big deal, especially specifically food on a stick, giant cream puffs, and fried butter. Holy cow. Oh, yeah. And there's this little football team called the Packers. Haven't really followed them since Brett Favre left. Give a little quarterback drama this offseason as well, I believe. All right, last feedback for today from Marlessa. Thank you, Marlessa, for being a patron. Thank you, Trisha, as well, if I didn't say that. Hey, Mike, I love this topic. While I, of course, currently live in New York City, my hometown is Scranton, Pennsylvania, made more famous in recent years due to The Office. I've never seen an episode of The Office, but I did just finish Ted Lasso. I never watch, like, shows on TV other than sports, and I loved Ted Lasso. That was the best. It was very inspiring. Anyway, like you, I'm a huge fan of custard and can never resist stopping for it. I always hold a very special place in my heart for Rita's, an Italian ice and custard chain founded in Pennsylvania. That was my first introduction to custard. I love a good ice cream or gelato as well, but there's something special about the extra creaminess of a good custard. You just said it exactly right. Yes. In Scranton, Pennsylvania, specifically, one thing we're known for is Old Forge Pizza, or as we call it, Old Forge, the pizza capital of the world. Specifically, it's a rectangular thick crust pizza. Notably, our white pizza in this style has a double crust. I've been to Italy, had my Italian grandparents' homemade pizza, and enjoyed all styles of pizza in New York City. And while those styles are all probably objectively better, I still have a lot of nostalgia for Old Forge Pizza. Oh, and we say we're getting a tray of pizza in Scranton. Scranton St. Patrick's Day Parade, simply called Parade Day to locals, is also a huge deal and one of the largest parades celebrating this holiday in the country. In terms of attractions, the Lackawanna County Coal Mine Tour is probably one of Scranton's most famous things to do. It involves going about 300 feet underground in a mine car. Sounds like what I did at Silver Dollar City in Marvel Cave. That is awesome. Now I want pizza. Oh my gosh, that sounds so good. There was something I wanted to add to that. Oh, we have a pizza place in St. Louis that they're opening it. They only have one location in well, they had more when I was a kid. I had my third birthday party at a place called Happy Joe's. Happy Joe's Pizza, famous for the taco pizza. And I had my third or fourth birthday party at a Happy Joe's that was by my house growing up. It closed 30 years ago, probably more than 30 years ago. There was one location in South St. Louis, and we've been going to it. Like, it's a long drive for us. It's so cool because it's like a family run place. They have really good pizza, the red and white checkered tablecloths. They have a few redemption games the kids can play, sports on the TV. And they're opening one. They turned an old McDonald's that went out of business into a Happy Joe's, and it opens. Oh my gosh, it opens today. Today's July 1st. We are going to Happy Joe's tonight. I love this place. Taco pizza. I hope it's open. Now I got to hurry up and get through the show so I can check their website. No, just kidding, but I'm pumped. I forgot today's July 1st. That's when they're supposed to open. Yes. Have you ever heard of Happy Joe's? We'll see. It's very cool. All right, to today's topic. Today, I'm talking about something that you have probably experienced. Lean in. You've experienced this, right? We leave for Walt Disney World Tuesday. It's Thursday. How about we're in the scramble period? Now, to me, let's talk about this for a second. This is one of the best parts of a Disney trip, the week before, right? Because everything is on the table. Scott and I have been talking about, okay, let's swap out Tusker House that day because the only day we can go there is the only time we can go to Maya Grill. So we had this debate, Maya Grill, Tusker House, Maya Grill, Tusker House. We swapped out Maya Grill for Tusker House because we love that place. And the thing is, for the last week, every conversation over a meal and even at the ball game yesterday is about, oh, you know what, this time next week, we will be blank. We'll be staying at Yacht Club or we'll be at Epcot and hopefully we'll be on Living with the Land. That's what I would say. We're talking about snacks we're going to get. We're talking about, exciting things that are going to happen. So what I wanted to talk about briefly today without taking too much of your time is that period of time, like the week before you leave. How do you set yourself up for a successful trip? What kind of things do you do? So again, we're starting to, for the first time, watch the weather, right? For Florida. Because now it's kind of on the radar. You get inside of 10 days. Of course, it's Florida. It's going to rain. It's going to be hot. It's July. That's what's going to happen. But then I was watching Twitter last night and all of a sudden I saw Elsa. And I'm not talking about Frozen either. There's a tropical depression or a tropical named storm, Elsa, that is tracking its way across the Atlantic. And the cone, of course, this is way, way early. But they ran all these computer models and I follow a lot of meteorologists in Central Florida because of, I got guests down there and I like to know the weather. And they ran, 7 or 8 models and almost every one of them had it over like Tampa on Monday morning with like 60-mile-an-hour winds. I'm like, no, we fly in Tuesday morning. So I don't want I don't care if we have a hurricane when we're there. I just want to be able to get there on the plane. And this timing right now is not good. So Elsa needs to she needs to let it go and, figure something out, slow down, speed up, whatever. But so that was the kind of the first thing. That's the talk right now. Again, we're going either way. If I have to drive, we're going to drive. But now's that time where we start talking about these things. Now, also during this time, I always, schedule my haircut. Got to get your haircut for your trip every time I do. Because that's when you're down there, this is the time you're going to get a lot of the pictures that maybe you don't get pictures the rest of the year, but you get pictures on your Disney vacation. So I'll be heading to Great Clips. We had to buy Mallory a new suitcase because when we went down for Summit for her cheerleading championships, as we were getting her suitcase out of the car at the St. Louis airport to head down, it hit funky on the corner and one of the wheels completely busted off. The corner of the suitcase broke. And I thought she's going to have a meltdown because, again, this was before we even left home to go down to Walt Disney World for her cheerleading championship. She didn't, but she did the entire time have this suitcase with only 3 wheels that kept tipping over and had a corner missing out of it. So we got that. So she's excited that she went down to Walmart and picked up a suitcase. And again, we're picking up those small things that we'll use throughout the year, but you get them for your Disney trip, right? Like my wife went to Old Navy and picked up some clothes. She got me another new pair of just what I call dad shorts, right? Just the khaki colored shorts you can wear at Disney. I'll wear them throughout the year here, but you get them for your Disney trip. So you look nice when you go to, like we're going to Maria and Enzo's, and for golf and stuff like that. So, these times before are really exciting because, again, it's starting to come together. Don't have the suitcases out quite yet. It's Thursday, but we have them kind of ready to go. And we're starting to think about, is Paige going to stay here at the house while we're gone so that she can pick up the mail? Who's going to water the flowers? I get excited when it gets to be this time. And I'll tell you what, there's 2 ways to look at it. Time kind of drags the last week because you're so excited to just get to the airport and get out of here. But then again, time goes super fast because you think, I have all this time to get X, Y, and Z marked off of my to-do list before we leave. And then all of a sudden, you wake up, it's Tuesday morning and you're like, oh gosh, I still got to do 6 things. So what I'm excited about is that this is a holiday weekend coming up, and we're celebrating my sister-in-law's birthday here at the house on the 4th of July on Sunday. And we're having everybody over. We're going to do her birthday. We're going to do the 4th of July. We'll shoot off fireworks. We'll have a good time. So the weekend will go kind of quick because, of course, you got to cut the grass for the party. You got to do all that stuff. And then, the 4th of July is always fun. You watch fireworks, you hang out, we have the party. The 5th of July is that last day, but it's kind of a holiday this year. So that last day we'll be able to kind of get stuff together and get out of here. So, we'll probably pack on Monday, get everything done. But I'll tell you, behind the scenes, when you run a podcast, you might want to know how things kind of run with that, because I know some shows kind of take a break when the hosts and hostesses go on vacation, which is totally fine. I get it. Everybody needs a break from their what they do for a living. You need a vacation. But the thing is, I appreciate you all so very much listening to the shows, not just the patron shows. I appreciate you guys at such a high level because you allow me to live out my dream. I have dreamed of doing something like this, and I get to do this. Like I get to record podcasts or, these shows at least 4 times a week, and I get the biggest kick out of it. I mean, my wife even says, like, I'm happy you're on podcast day. So anyway, to get ready, I never want to miss a show, and I really don't like doing replays. I know replays are kind of fun. I've thought about that because there are a lot of shows in our catalog at this point that would be fun to revisit from like 2012, just to go back and A, hear what we sound like, and B, hear what we're talking about, because it would be like we're on a different planet for some of the shows. We started in 2008. With the advice we give in 2008, 2009 would be like, what are they talking about? That's not even the Walt Disney World that exists right now. So I kind of want to do replays at some point, but I always want to give you fresh content, because if you're going to give us the time to listen to our show, and I know it's very valuable, I want to give you our best effort and give you something new and fresh to enjoy. So when I get ready to go on vacation, about 2 weeks before, I start freaking out about the podcast. I'll just tell you behind the scenes. And so we record a bunch of shows out of order, but I never want them to be to second-rate shows. I want them to be just as worth your time. But it's kind of tricky because, for example, I've already recorded the shows for the week of the end of my trip. So I've already recorded the shows. We've done the listener question shows for July 14th, and the Friday show for July 16th is already in the can. Now, for the listener, you might say, how do you do a listener question show that's going to air 2 weeks from today? Well, we took pretty evergreen questions that were in the inbox, but they're still very pertinent to travel this summer and this fall and this winter. But they didn't, obviously it wasn't about the news of the Run Disney announcements, because when that show comes out, it'll be 2 weeks from now. We touch on things, crowd levels during a Run Disney race weekend. Somebody was asking about stuff like that, but questions that are still important and help you plan a great trip, but we're not necessarily kind of the news of the week, like breaking news. Ricky and I tackled that last night. A couple nights ago, Scott and I got together, and this was Tuesday. This was past Tuesday. We recorded this one, and it was the day that Run Disney put out that cryptic message about tomorrow you get your wonderful announcement about Run Disney. So that night, I told him we got to record something that's kind of evergreen so that people don't, if we talk about something super current, it's not going to be current when it comes out 2 weeks from now, actually 2.5 weeks from now. So what we did, we kind of split the difference, and we speculated on what we thought that announcement would be. Because again, this was the day before it came out. We both agreed that it was going to be an announcement saying that Marathon Weekend was going to happen in person. We were right, but we both also say in that episode that Wine and Dine is absolutely a goner. There's no way they're going to run Wine and Dine. They're just going to start fresh in 2022. But we said that in the show. We said we're speculating. We're recording before that announcement is made. So let's see how we do. But we were absolutely wrong and right at the same time. But more importantly, we just kind of talked about what a Run Disney weekend looks like, because I'm super excited to go down on Tuesday, because this is vacation. This is not going down to run 48 miles. This is not going to Walt Disney World to go to all kinds of meets and, and meet up with 8 different groups of people, which I love. Don't get me wrong. I love that kind of stuff. But those weekends are super fast because it's like a Thursday to a Sunday, and they're exhausting because you're getting up super early, you're staying up late with people, you're having the best time, but it's like you're in college, right? You're burning the candle at both ends, which is awesome too. But this is a vacation where I'll run every morning, but I'll just run as far as I want to. Like I don't have to run 13 miles. I can just run whatever I want. But the thing is, like, I don't have anything I have to do. Like I'm going to play golf one morning with my buddies. I'm going to hang out with my daughters at yacht club in Stormalong Bay. I'm going to grab ice cream if I want ice cream. We'll eat where we want. We don't have a ton of ADRs. We'll get some hot dogs at Casey's now. We'll get a All American Sunday at the Plaza. How about that? That stuff's back online. But this one's vacation. So the thing is, you might say, well, what about next week's podcast, right? Because I've recorded them for 2 weeks from now. Well, what we're going to do is on Monday, we're going to record just like normal. I don't know if Pam's going to be there. I think she may be traveling for the holiday, but I know Ricky's going to be there, and I think Scott's going to be there. And we'll record listener questions for next Wednesday. And next Friday, we'll have a topical show. And those will be current because we're going to record those Monday, and we'll have all the news of the time. So next week will just be like normal, even though I'll be down at Walt Disney World. The next week shows after that are already recorded, and then we'll get back just like we always do. But how do you feel about that week before you travel, especially for the family trip? Because when I go down for a race weekend, I mean, I get excited, especially marathon weekend, because I pack a lot of stuff, 3 different pair of sneakers to run in. I pack my throwaway sweats. I got to pack all my running gear, 4 pair of shorts, at least 4 lizard shirts. So I have one for each race day, stuff like that. For this trip, it's a family trip. So it's exciting because I can share it over meals with Pam and with Mallory. And as I've said, we're bringing one of Mallory's friends who's never really been into the parks. It's going to be exciting to see her thoughts on things. And I'm going to try. I've already told Mallory, I said, you got to tell your friend, her name's Megan, that we're going to do a podcast throughout this trip. We're going to do like we've done in the past. We're going to debrief either in the evenings or in the morning. Like what did we do yesterday? What were some of the highlights of the trip? Because everybody says they like those, that we record kind of on the spot and put out the audio as soon as we get back. So we're going to try to do that. And I really hope that we can. I know it's going to be a challenge with 2 13-year-old girls. They're kind of too cool for school probably, but it would be cool to hear Megan's thoughts because, you know what Mallory likes at this point. You know what Mike and Pam like. We've told you that over the past 13 years. But rarely do you get to hear the thoughts of somebody who it's a first-time experience down at Walt Disney World. So I hope we can kind of bounce some ideas off, just get some audio from that, and put out a show when we get back, kind of recorded live throughout the trip over that week's period. All right. One other note here on the show is that Mike in the Midwest, I'm going to put out shows next Thursday and the next Thursday. I get home the second Thursday. That's the day we fly home. Next Thursday, obviously, I'll be at Walt Disney World. These shows will probably be audio only. So make sure you're subscribed through just look into the Patreon messages, and it shows you how to add that to your podcatcher. I don't know if there'll be video. There might be, but there might not be because I might be recording these live from Walt Disney World. So they will be on the feed. I'm not going to miss anything, but they might not have video for the next couple of weeks, but I'll see if I can do that as well. All right. So feedback time, drop in. What kind of stuff do you do? Like we're picking up toiletries. I got my new shorts from Old Navy. Like what kind of, I'm going to get a new pair of running sneakers, I hope, because I have blisters from those Skechers at this point, and I'm back to the Hokas that have the holes in them. And that's kind of a bad look for vacation. So I'm going to see if I can find a good sale up at Dick's Sporting Goods or something on some cheap running shoes. But what kind of stuff do you do right before your trip? The week out, it's the most exciting time, man. We are ready to go. I can't wait. But there's so much to do. So what are the things on your to-do list? Leave the feedback, patreon.com/BeOurGuestPodcast. All right. Thank you so much for being here. Hope you enjoyed today's show. I love getting to do this show, the Be Our Guest podcast. And I just love our community. And I appreciate you guys so very much. So everybody out there, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. See you later, everybody. Have a good one.